Zapdos. Sounds like an S.O.S.
Holy crap, you're right. It's another set. Hell yeah. To my YouTube channel. Let's go. Awesome. Awesome. Players and collectors, it's showtime. Hurry, hurry, step right up. Introducing the new set in our format. And it is awesome. Yeah, you will definitely want to get yourself some of these cards. So without further ado, let us explore. You're about to witness Dark Explorers being awesome. It's right around the corner, so while we give you this quick warning. Prepare yourself, cause it'll appear like the sun in the morning. Fresh and bright, but also hyped. Yeah, it'll be popular, you heard me right. So stack up some money to get these new cards, cause without them it might just be very hard to keep up in this game. Everything you knew, it will not be the same. Dark Ray access in this epic looking set, so don't forget, because free retreat is awesome, yeah. And Dunking has met a new friend. So let's get down to the shop, cause I'm in need for some new cards, yup. Hopefully I'll get an EX that's playable too, like the day when I got myself me, you too. So let's get down to the shop, cause I'm in need for some new cards, yup. Hopefully I'll get an EX that's playable too, like the day when I got myself me, you too. Yeah, I was told to make these raps a bit longer. I promised a few people, so that suggestions really made me stronger. Oh well, what can I talk about next? Maybe Raikou EX, sniping everyone till they're dead. And then we have Groudon EX, had the stage is set. Lightning will have a huge problem, but will I have the skills to solve them? Who knows? Or maybe darkness will take over. Time for exposure, a dark patch and a darkness cloud. Oh wow, will it infect the format? I guess we can only wait for now. But this time around, fossil cards won't be longer underground. Once they were lost, but with the new stadium card they will be back in town. And Aerodactyl might power up some stuff to take you down. So let's get down to the shop, cause I'm in need for some new cards, yup. Hopefully I'll get an EX that's playable too, like the day when I got myself me, you too. So let's get down to the shop, cause I'm in need for some new cards, yup. Hopefully I'll get an EX that's playable too, like the day when I got myself me, you too. What's up YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here, and in this episode we'll finally look at the entire Dark Explorer set. So sit back and relax and I'll tell you all about the latest cards you have to look out for in your upcoming tournament. And just so you know, if a card isn't interesting at all, I'll probably go over it really quickly. Just pause the video for a while if you still want to check it out. Alright, there are 108 cards in this set and 3 secret rares, which means there are actually 111 cards to collect. And we'll start of course with number 1, Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is just your everyday common card with a small downside of having a retreat cost of 2. Next is Ivysaur, and wow, a retreat cost of 3 this time. It looks like this evolution line is becoming really fat in this format. Anyway, this one can be quite annoying since both of his attacks cause a special condition. And next, the final stage of this evolution line, Venusaur. His attack sucks, so don't even bother using it, but his ability rocks. It lets you search your deck for any Pokemon and put it in your hand each turn. Next is Scyther, and since there isn't any Scizor in this set, we might as well ignore this one. Now to number 5, Carnivine, and this one is an interesting Pokemon just for a second attack. It states, return the defending Pokemon and all cards attached to it back to your opponent's hand. This could be really effective in certain situations and people might want to test it out, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Next is Leafeon, and I'm afraid to say it, but this card sucks. So we'll go on to the next one, Dweeball, just a regular common, which evolves into, what is it again, Crustle, a regular uncommon, so not anything that special. Next we have Carablast and Shelmet, and both are just average weak basics. And now let's go on to the last grass type card of the set, Hazelcore, and this one is kind of interesting thanks to his second attack. It states the defending Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned, and shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into your deck. And you could really annoy your opponent if you manage to get out Trainer Lock, and which means they won't be able to save themselves from paralyzation. And yeah, that's all for the grass types. Now let's go on to the fire types. We start with Flareon. And this one is another weak uncommon card. So next we have number 13, Anti-EX, and I already reviewed this card in the previous episode. And yeah, if you want to check out some interesting strategies for this EX, just check it out if you haven't already. Next up are 2 Torchics that evolve into Combusken. Again, not anything that spectacular, but once they go into Blaziken, you have a well-known Hoenn Pokemon dealing 130 damage for only 3 energies, which is actually really good. Just think about it, all high HP basics getting knocked out by one attack, like Terrakion, Reshiram, Zekrom, Cobalion, Galleon and stuff like that. So Blaziken is one of the better fire types around. Now we have number 18, Torkoal, and no, this one isn't cool at all, he's just weak. And now we have Heatmore, Durant's worst enemy, because this is the card that got hyped when it first came out in Japan. It has the potential to deal 60 damage for a simple cardless energy if the defending Pokemon is Durant, so Durant players, be aware. Up next we have two Larvesta cards, pretty neat looking artwork, but that's all I can say for these cards, since they still have to evolve. They evolve into Volcarona eventually, which has the exact same attacks and ability as the pre-release card, so if you have a strategy around burning your opponent, then this is the card you need. And that's all for the fire Pokemon. Now let's cool off with some water. First up is Slowpoke, just a lazy common card that turns into more trouble when it evolves to Slowbro, because that card has an ability that doesn't work in your favor, which is kind of new. Next we have Vaporeon, and this evolution has the most HP of all of them, which is kind of neat. Then we have Kyogre EX, and I don't really like this EX, to be honest, just because his attacks are just way too weak for an EX, and yeah, retreat cost of 4 is just bad, although you can snipe 2 Tynamos with a second attack if you manage to set him up, but yeah, against lightning decks you'll lose anyway thanks to his weakness. So yeah, for now I'll say that this is the worst EX in our format. And now let's go on to Empoleon, the evolution line. The pre-evolutions are just average, but Empoleon definitely has potential. It has the ability that lets you discard a card from your hand in order to draw 2 cards, so you can use this every turn to draw into your resources, and his attack rocks as well, dealing 10 damage times the number of Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's of course, and that's pretty awesome for simple water energy. The only bad thing about this card is the lightning weakness. Other than that, it's awesome. Now we have Glaceon, again an evolution that is pretty bad, except for a few, only a few evolutions are actually good, Jolteon and Espeon, but we'll cover those later. And yeah, for now, let's go on with the water Pokemon. We have Tampole and Palpitoad, but no Seismitoad in this set, so yeah, they automatically suck. And let's go on to Vanillite and Vanillish. It goes the same here, no Vanillux, since we already got that in Next Destinies. So now let's go on to Ducklett, that goes into Swanna, and that Swanna might be interesting for a second attack with the help of Fliptini, although no matter how lucky you are with coin flips, it isn't actually worth it to attach 3 energies. And then let's go on to the lightning Pokemon. We start off with the Jolteon I mentioned before, and this one is actually pretty good. It can deal 60 damage for 1 energy if you discard a lightning energy and return, and you can also deal 160 damage at best with a second attack if you have luck with coin flips. Every heads deals 40 damage. You can flip 4 times, which is really good for only a lightning and a DCE. Then we have Raikou EX, and I reviewed this card as well, so check it out here. Now we have Plusle and Minun popping up. Both are really weak, but Plusle has an interesting draw engine that lets you shuffle your hand back into your deck, and if Minun is in play, you can draw 8 cards, which is actually really good, but 2 spaces are needed in your field, so personally I don't like it, but drawing 8 cards is definitely good. Next is 2 Joltex with only 30 HP and no free retreat, so they suck, and they turn into Galvantula, which is just bad as well. Alright, next up we have the new Electros line with 2 Dynamos that aren't that special. They still only have 40 HP at best. Then we have the new Electric, which might just work if you need an additional attacker in the most Zekrom Electric decks, and since almost all lightning decks run Dynamo Motor anyway, you can just put in an extra eel like this one to have serve as your extra attacker, and it evolves into Electros, the new one. The damage output sucks, but the HP is nice, so yeah, he can heal himself as well with his first attack. Other than that, he's pretty bad, so I would stick with running only Electrics, and that's all for the lightning Pokemon in this set. So now let's check out some psychic Pokemon. First is Espeon, and this one is actually quite good thanks to his ability. It prevents all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to each of your Pokemon that has any energies attached to him, so you might as well say bye-bye paralyzation, and that's a good thing. And next is Slowking, and he's not good to be honest, but he might be able to knock out Mewtwo EX with a plus power or something, but other than that I won't use it. And now we have number 50, which is a lone Woobat, and there isn't a Swoobat in this set since we already got it in emerging powers even before Japanese people got it, so that's pretty interesting to know. Next we have Cofagrigus line, and this Cofagrigus has an interesting attack that works on a DCE. It states you may discard from your hand as many Pokemon tool cards as you like, and then deal 40 damage times the number of tool cards you discarded, which means you can easily knock out Mewtwo EXs again with this card. It might be a nice counter card, but still, Darkness Pokemon are around, so I don't think people will use this. Now we're at the fighting Pokemon. Now we start off with Aerodactyl, and as you heard in the intro song, fossils are back, and with Aerodactyl's ability, we might even see a fossil in the top deck, since his ability states all your Pokemon's attack deal 10 more damage to the active Pokemon, which means you can definitely combine this with any aggressive aggressive Pokemon in that matter, like Tornadus EX, Mewtwo EX, and stuff like that, to deal even more damage on turn 1. And since Twist Mountain is also in the set, you can easily get out multiple Aerodactyls on turn 1, but I'll talk about that stadium card later. Now to Groudon EX. Again, I already talked about this EX in a previous episode. You should check it out if you haven't already to hear more about Groudon EX. Up next are two Excadrills and their pre-evolution Drillbur. They aren't that impressive at first sight, although they do have a nice amount of HP. Now to number 58 and 59, Timber and Girder, but no Conkeldurr. What the hell? So we go on to the Darkness Pokemon, the main type of the set. We start off with two Umbreon cards. They both look pretty weak to me, but the only one that is interesting is the one with the attack that can disrupt your opponent's energies on the active Pokemon. And yeah, then we go on to Sableye that searches your discard pile for items and has no weakness, so that's pretty great. And then we come across number 63, which is of course Darkrai EX. If you want to watch a detailed episode about Darkrai EX, then click here. Next we have the Crocodile line, and Crocodile is quite aggressive in the late game, dealing a maximum of 200 damage, so people might want to try this one out in a quick deck because it deals 40 damage times the number of prizes you already picked. And then we have a new Scrafty line, but too bad it sucks. It would have been nice to have a Scrafty that's actually playable, but now let's go on to the Zoroark line. That comes with a pretty neat looking pre-evolution that can evolve on turn 1, and yeah, the Zoroark card is actually really good since it can attack with a DCE, and it deals 20 damage times the number of Darkness Pokemon you have in play, which means dealing 120 damage. Shouldn't be that hard if you're only running Darkness Pokemon. And the second attack deals 20 damage times the number of damage counters on Zoroark. It sounds nice, but the chances are that Zoroark will never have damage counters on him because you will be knocked out in one blow in most cases. Next we have Bisharp, which is just bad, and yeah, there's a Pawniard in this set, but it's a steel type, so we'll cover that later. Next we have a Lone Vullaby, and yeah, we already got the Mandibuzz, to be honest. In the previous one of the previous sets, maybe Emerging Powers, we had that Mandibuzz, but yeah, we don't have one now. Now let's go on to the Metal Pokemon, and we start with a weak Excavalier. Then we have the Klinklang evolution line, and they all don't seem that interesting, to be honest. The Klinklang has a pretty awesome looking holo, but that's all. Then we have Pawniard, the one I was talking about, at number 78, and then we have Bisharp, the metal version. It looks pretty nice, but for playability, it doesn't appeal to me. At last, we have the Colorless type Pokemon, and we start off with two Chanseys, a massive HP, as to be expected from those, and a Blizzy. The attacks aren't that special, although the attack from Blizzy could be used in certain situations to have 890 damage for 3 energies, or 2 energies if you count a DCE, and yeah, they all have an awesome amount of HP, and the ability of Blizzy might see playability in some unique decks. Other than that, we go on to the next one. 2 Eevees, a weak Chatot, and a Stoutland evolution line, which are all quite boring, to be honest. And then we have a lone Haxorus, which looks pretty badass with an HP of 140, but his attacks swallow up a ton of energy. And then we have the last Colorless Pokemon of the set, of course, Tornadus EX. Again, I already covered this card in a previous episode, so if you want to check it out, click here. And now let's go on to the items, supporters, and stadium cards. And let's start with the easiest part, the stadium card, since there's only one stadium card in this set, Twist Mountain. It's actually a really nice card to bring Aerodactyl out, as I said. It states, once during each player's turn, that player flips a coin. If heads, that player may play a restored Pokemon, aka a fossil Pokemon, from their hand onto their bench. So that's quite exciting indeed. Now we have the 4 supporters of the set. We have Chiron, Juniper, and N, and those are all reprints for some reason. And yeah, now we also have a new supporter called Hooligans, Gem, and Kaz, and here's what it does. Flip a coin. If heads, choose 3 random cards from your opponent's hand, and your opponent reveals those cards and shuffles them back into his or her deck. I know it's quite risky to rely on a coin flip and supporters, but it could definitely help you disrupt your opponent at the beginning of the game to get yourself a cheap win, because your opponent won't be able to set up if their hand is empty. But as I said, it only works 50% of the time. And now let's go on to the items. Let's start off with Dark Patch and Dark Cloud. Dark Patch lets you search a discard pile for a basic darkness energy and lets you attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. I'm sure that most of you guys already know this card. And then we have Dark Cloud, a tool card that lets darkness Pokemon deal 20 more damage to the active Pokemon. Those are both really playable, so expect a lot of them in the upcoming darkness decks. Next we have Enhanced Hammer, which lets you discard a special energy on your opponent's side of the field. But for now, Loss Remover is way better, because if you put stuff in Lost Zone, you feel like a boss. Then we have Old Amber, which lets you look at the bottom 7 cards from your deck deck, and if there's an Aerodactyl in there, you can put it on your bench. So this is actually the basic method if you want to get out Aerodactyl, if you don't want to rely on Twist Mountain. Now to Random Receiver, which is the better working Pokegear, because sometimes in tough situations there's nothing in your Pokegear and then you go crazy like hell. And yeah, with Random Receiver you don't have that issue. You can just reveal cards from your deck until you have a supporter finally. Of course, you have to shuffle all the rest of your cards back into your deck, otherwise you will have no more cards in your deck or something like that. That would be kind of messed up. And here we have Rare Candy. This item is blessed in the video games, but in the trading card game it serves its purpose as well, because without it stage 2 decks have no chance of winning at all, and their chances are pretty slim, to be honest, since the steroid using heavy basics aka EXs are just way too powerful. So if you people are still looking for some expensive rare candies, just buy some new packs because the price will go down just like it did with the DCE. And the final item card is Ultra Ball, which is going to be played a lot just because it lets you discard 2 cards from your hand in order to search your deck for any Pokemon, and Dark Patch and Electric will love it when the correct energies are in the discard pile. And now to the more expensive material, the Full Art EXs and the Shinies. I don't really have to explain anything since I already talked about all of those cards before. Just enjoy watching these epic cards, and hopefully you'll change your wanted list after this video or something, because as you see many epic stuff is on the way, and the pre-releases are planned this weekend in the US or the weekend after that, but in Belgium we have to wait an extra week, so yeah, it'll be quite disappointing. Oh well, I already pre-ordered my booster box, so expect an opening of that around the release date. I hope everyone is as excited as I am, because yep, you can get Golden Catcher as you see in the set, and many more awesome stuff like that, so it'll be a really great set for playability, and it'll be quite expensive for certain cards as well. And that pretty much wraps it up once again for this episode. And nope, there's no Poke News. Just because there's simply no need for it, this entire episode might be considered Poke News. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, click the like button, you know I always appreciate that. And if you have any questions, thoughts, or epic new ideas, the comment section is your place to be. Alright, this was ZapdosTCG. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, and until next time.